I will call the Plat Committee meeting for April 2nd, 2005 to order. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Stoller.
Here.
Mr. Hillary.
Here.
And Mr. Mackey is absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. The third item is the approval of the plat minutes from March 5th.
Motion to approve.
I will second that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The minutes from March has been approved. I'll move on to our public hearing section. The first item today is Target. The property is located at Southeast Parkway and 136th Street, case PP 25-1, which is a request to approve a primary plat to subdivide 21.79 acres into a lot and block to construct a 148,000 square foot retail building and associated parking. And Kevin is here to present.
Thank you. Good evening. Kevin Martin with the city's Planning and Zoning Department, presenting before you primary plat 25-1. As Ross mentioned, this is primary plat for the Target development. This project and subject site are located on the northeast corner of the city, close to the intersection of 136th Street and Oleo Road. This site is directly adjacent 136th Street, north of it. And currently the property is approximately 21.79 acres in size and contains no structures. The subject site is zoned PUD-M, and it is within the Saxony PUD. The zoning will remains unchanged. The surrounding area as shown here is zoned PUD-M, also within the Saxony PUD. PUD-M with an I-69 overlay, which is the area in the hash marked. And then also within the vicinity, there is some C3 with I-69 overlay as well. This proposal is to subdivide the existing lot into two sublots to construct a 148,000 square foot retail building with associated parking as pictured on the screen. Access for these two new lots will be provided off of 136th Street and also from a new private road to be known as Hamilton Commons Boulevard, shown there running north-south between the two proposed lots. The pedestrian path of travel will be provided to both locations along the right-of-way and directly to the entrance of the proposed structure. The proposed architecture and site plan design have not been approved, have been approved by PUD committee, as it's required within any improvements within PUDs. Staff recommends approval of this plat as proposed with the condition that all tag comments be addressed through the ILP process. This is, public hearing is required. With that, I will conclude my presentation unless you have any questions for me.
I don't have any questions. Do you have any questions, Selena?
No, my only concern, and I'm assuming that the TAC committee and Mr. Mackey are on top of this, you know, as we develop this land out there, the traffic flow and road construction, infrastructure and things like that, but that's the TAC committee's responsibility. So I'm going to trust them on that, but because I know there's some other developments out in this area. That's my only comment.
Kevin, can you go back a slide to the larger, that one right there? So to answer your question based on my knowledge, not the engineering director, but my understanding, we have received funding from the Metropolitan Planning Organization, that's the Indianapolis NPO, to reconstruct that existing roundabout that you can see there. It currently has 5 legs, the Oleo and Southeastern. will be reduced down to 4 legs. That one that is the southeastern leg that goes directly to 136th Street will be removed. I know that's one of the items that will make that a more standard roundabout. If you go to a roundabout, you usually have 3 to 4 legs, not 5, so that's of concern. And then the intersection of Oleo and 136, just south of Culver's, will get what is known as a teardrop roundabout. So it's approximately half of a roundabout. So it doesn't provide full access, but does provide additional circulation there. So I know those 2 items are currently on the engineering's development dashboard. And I'm not sure of the timeline on those, but I know those are 2 traffic things that will assist in this area.
Okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Kevin said it required a public hearing, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. With that, if anyone would like to speak at the public hearing, please approach the podium and state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to speak. Staff or petitioner will answer any questions after that. With that, I will open the public hearing for primary plat 25-1.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Sean Arts. I live at 16282 Remington Drive in Barrington Estates subdivision. I came here for a different matter, but now that I see the proposal, which I'm all for the idea of putting a target there, I do have to share my experience of that roundabout at Oleo Road. I do understand the structure that you're proposing for the changes to the circle and adding the teardrop circle. I'm just reiterating the concern about the ability to be able to handle that additional traffic flow from the target in what is already now a very, very congested roundabout. So the design is one issue. The study to be able to withstand that level of volume of traffic is, to me, the really big issue that I know that you've already talked about, just illuminating that and reiterating the importance of that. So, thank you.
The petition. If not, I will close the public hearing. Thank you for your comments. I agree. So that is part of our TAC process and was one of the items when Target approached us for this property. So a traffic study is underway, and I believe that those things will dictate what other improvements are needed. So I appreciate those comments, and we will reiterate those to our engineering department. With that, will I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
I will accept that motion with the condition that all TAC comments are addressed.
I was going to say with TAC comments, yes.
Okay. I will second that motion. Kay, can you call a vote, please?
Ms. Stoller?
Aye.
Mr. Hiller?
Aye.
Thank you.
The item is passed. Our next item before us today is primary plat 25-2. This is known as MedTech Park, located at 14000 East 136th Street, which is a request to approve a primary plat to subdivide 5.27 acres into 3 lots. Kevin is here.
Thank you. As you mentioned, this is primary plat 25-2 for MedTech Park. This site is also located on the northeast corner of the city, near 136th Street and Jack Walker Lane. Here you can see the site pictured. This is the proposed block to be subdivided. The site is located at the 14,000 East 136th Street and is currently approximately 5.27 acres in size and also contains no structures. The site zoning is PUDC and it is within the MedTech PUD. The site is also located within the I-69 overlay district. The zoning will remain unchanged within the surrounding area. As you can see, there's other properties within the PUDC designation and then a number of properties within the C3 commercial designation, pictured in red. The request is to subdivide this site into 3 lots for medical office buildings. You can see the proposed site layout and plat pictured on the screen. Access will be primarily provided off of Jack Walker Lane and also via internal private drives. The proposed architecture and site plan designs will be required to seek approval by the PUD committee, as it is also within a PUD. With that, I'll conclude my presentation, just noting that staff recommends approval as it meets all of the requirements and objectives of the UDO and the future land use plan as well. Any questions for me?
Has this already received TAC approval?
It has not.
Okay, so
Also
we need to
undergoing
make
through
it
the TAC.
conditional upon TAC approval.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
add that condition. So far, there's no major concerns with this proposal through the TAC process.
You mentioned the uses. Do we know what those uses are?
Medical office
Okay.
buildings and that, within that general. There's already 2 buildings that are undergoing the the TAC process, and then the 3rd site has not been submitted at this time.
Do you have any other further questions?
I think my big question is the TAC proposal and then the traffic flow within the site with parking and different things like this. I mean, but I'm assuming that's going to be with TAC. I mean, it's really beyond the purview of this committee,
Okay.
and I get that. But just want to make sure that, we have team members that are reviewing that as well.
Okay. All right, you mentioned a public hearing, so with that, if anyone wishes to speak, please approach the podium and state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Staff or petitioner can answer any questions after the fact. With that, I will open the public hearing for primary plat 25-2 for MedTech Park. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Do I have a motion on the item?
Motion to approve, conditional upon TAC approval.
I will second that motion. Kay, can you have a roll call, please?
Ms. Stoller
Aye.
and Mr. Hillary.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, on to our last item, which is Legacy Senior Living, located at the intersection of Cynthia Ann Road and 136th Street generally. Case is primary plat 25-2, which is a request to subdivide into 2 lots on 23.62 acres. And we have Kevin.
All right, thank you. Similar to the other 2 sites, this is also on the northeast quadrant of the city. As Ross mentioned, this is near the intersection of Cynthia Ann Road and 136th Street. You can see the site here outlined. It is, within close proximity of the intersection, but the site does not actually touch that intersection. Currently, the property is approximately 4 acres in size and also contains no structures. This site is zoned PUDC, and it is within the Britton Falls PUD, the commercial portion of the PUD. The zoning will also remain unchanged for this site, and the surrounding area is also zoned PUD-M, also within the Britton Falls PUD, with some R2 on the east side and some R2 on the north of this property that also falls within the I-69 overlay district. The request is to subdivide the property for the development of Legacy Senior Living, which will occupy the eastern bigger lot proposed here, and then also a future commercial development along Cynthia Ann Road on the smaller lot on the west side of the site. The proposal includes a number of different typologies for senior living, including independent living, memory care, and also assisted living. You can see the proposed plat here. Access is going to be provided both off of 136th Street and Cynthia Ann Road. And then also I will identify this new right-of-way to be dedicated to connect the existing right-of-way to the south, which is Vickery Ridge Drive, connected over to Cynthia Ann Road. The proposed architecture and site plan design have not been approved by the PUD committee, but will be required to receive PUD approval for the architecture and site layout as well. With that, I'll conclude my presentation and say that staff is recommending approval as this proposed primary plat meets the UDO and the comprehensive plan objectives. We're recommending approval also with the standard condition that all TAC comments be addressed through that process. Public hearing is required. With that, I'll conclude my presentation unless you have any other questions for me.
We missed this on the last one. Does the petitioner have any comments that they'd like to add? Okay. Can you go back to the previous slide with the red square? Thank you. You mentioned that this is new right-of-way to be dedicated. I do see that there's also right-of-way on both Cynthia and 136 to be dedicated as part of the thoroughfare plan in lieu of Hatemeki being here, so that makes sense that we're getting the right-of-way that's needed on those areas, and that this chunk specifically is to connect that neighborhood to the south, since there was a stub. So thank you for bringing up that comment. Selena, do you have any questions?
So this has a couple lots here, and they're looking at doing the senior living, possibly some commercial. Are we going to have connectivity within the site?
My understanding is that all of this connection would be private roads minus the portion on the bottom left. So yes, they would be required to have connectivity. It would just be on private roads.
Yeah, I was going to say the private roads internally, so that way within the site, they can have, access to both major thoroughfares. It's going kind of through there.
Correct, yep.
It's basically what I want to see. And then I think that's my only question, to make sure that we have connectivity within the site.
Okay. All right, if there are no further questions, this does require a public hearing as there is new right-of-way that is to be dedicated. So anyone who wishes to speak, please approach the podium and state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Staff or petitioner will answer any questions after the public hearing. With that, I will open the public hearing for primary plat 25-3, Legacy Senior Living.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Sean Arts. I live at 16282 Remington Drive. My lot backs up to that proposal, as well as my neighbor here, Ellen Boso. Can you bring up the map that you had showed there? I'd like to reference it.
IT, can you take the timer down and bring the map back, please?
And I apologize, I'm not familiar with the way that you've constructed your map, but the part of the map that has the blue and the green lines, what do they represent?
That's within the 100-year flood.
I'm sorry?
That is, everybody can hear me? That is within the 100-year flood event zone.
Okay.
But it's not floodway or floodplain.
Right, so I'm assuming nothing would be built in that area?
Right, currently the proposal, they would have to do remediation if they wanted to develop on that area, so currently nothing is
Okay.
being proposed for anything within that zone.
Okay, thank you. My other question is, I had done some research of legacy living properties around the area as well as around the country, and very nice properties. There seems to be variation between the number of stories of these various properties. So my question is, what is the planned number of stories that will be allowed to be built on here, especially given that within a very large radius around that, there is mostly 1- and 2-story properties at the very most. So I guess my question is, what is the maximum number of stories that would be allowed to be built on this?
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
Okay, I'll have the petitioner answer that at the end of the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Is anyone here else who wishes to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Watson. I own the 2.96 acres on the southeast corner, or on this proposal would be on the northwest corner. I have some difficulty understanding some of the engineering on this primary plat. I see how my neighbor's property, the 1 acre property, has been given easement or access to his property, but I'm not showing access to this development through the development to my property. And I guess what my main concern is, looking at your 2020 or 2040 thoroughfare plan, and also what is passed in Noblesville with the Gatewood project, and also with Innovation Mile, that what I would suspect there would be an interchange in Cynthia Road next 5 to 7 years. And I'd be willing to bet some money on that with some of the people I've talked with NDOT. So looking at that intersection, can I assume that when Fishers condemned some of my property and put the roundabout and made 2 road cuts and paved them and put them in on my property, can I assume that those road cuts will be good for the future? That would be one concern. And 2, I've had a lot of difficulty communicating on this project, and at noon I got some more information, but I do have a meeting set with the developer, also the engineer on this project, or working for the 16th of April. And then I have a meeting with engineering, economic development, and planning on the 18th of April. So what I would like to see done, especially because the engineer's not here, that this is tabled for a future date, but I see some questions, or some serious questions, as to how I'm going to get sewers, where the sewers are going to come from, and really access to my property in the long run. And I've been around here for 20 years and have several times spoke with Planning Commission about the changes in the area, and several times you've made changes to the Britton Falls, Fall Creek, PUD commercial sector, and I have not been included in those conversations, and I'm pretty disappointed about it, to be honest with you. And that's what I got. My time's up.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in the public hearing? With that, I will close the public hearing. Petitioner, can you come to the podium and state your name and answer any of those questions that you would like?
Absolutely. I was scribbling down notes here, so I think I've got everything. For the record, Bill Butts, Kinley Hornet Associates, 500 East 96th Street in Indianapolis. Speaking, I'll hit it again just to make sure that we've got it. To the first neighbor, what the hatch is, that is the 100-year. We have no plans to do any work in that area. You did a great job. It's terribly painful to get into those areas. We're just going to stay out, leave that natural as it is. What are the planned number of stories? So and Ross, you might know this, I think the max is like 45 feet. I don't think we're going anywhere near that high. I think the highest we've got planned is 2 stories, and most of the buildings are just single-story buildings. So it's a very low-density senior living development. And I appreciate the note that there are lots of different types of senior living developments out there. I know there's a really cool tall one going in downtown Fishers, much more appropriate downtown than out here. So the highest that will be out there is a 2-story building. The roofs on that building, I believe, are also going to be pitched just like a residential house would be. So it's going to fit in very well with the surroundings. To Mr. Watson's notes, access to the property. So Ross, I know you had mentioned, and Selena, thank you for sharing your concerns. We do have planned interconnectivity between the sites. So you will be able to drive from 136th Street down to Cynthia if there's an accident or something goes on, whatever the case may be. The city has requested of the developer, you can see it at the top of the page there, an access easement that works with their proposed drive to that property to the west. And then there's a box that says, note lot 2 shall provide an access easement to the property to the north. We don't know the specifics of how the commercial area is going to lay out, but by having this on the primary plat, by having the plat committee review it and approve it, the city has the ability to hold that lot responsible for providing access to Mr. Watson's property. So that's the way we've got it. Again, we don't know, and it's really difficult to plat an easement. Well, first off, this doesn't get recorded, but it's difficult to plat an easement today for something that we don't know where it's going to be. We want that to line up with a drive and not go through a future building. The other piece that I'll add is the Fishers ordinance does a great job of requiring interconnectivity between commercial lots. So that's going to be required either way, easement or no easement. On the difficulty meeting, I'm not sure if he's referring to us or the city. I've spoken with Mr. Watson twice over the phone. I think I was able to answer the questions that I was able to answer. I know you did have questions on sewer capacities. That's the city's to handle. I can't speak to the city's sewer capacity. On the sanitary sewer, we are extending, as a part of the development plans, the sanitary sewer north to his southern property line along Cynthia Ann Road. We have currently shown in the plans that were submitted for TAC review the main extension, keeping it low and deep and big as the city wants, up to the south edge of his property. So from a sewer standpoint, he, like everyone else, would be able to extend the main through his property, like everybody else is required to do, and do whatever development follows the city's rules and the ordinance. On the PUD changes, I wasn't a part of those. I think those were years ago, so I really can't speak to that. So here to answer any additional questions the city may have.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
The only other thing that I will mention, you mentioned the thoroughfare plan, which is very accurate. I think the thoroughfare plan does show a potential interchange. If and when that would ever come, it is my clear understanding from our engineering department that that would be led by the city of Noblesville with NDOT. I don't see it in our desire, again, not the director of engineering, to have that interchange there. So if something would come about that would be led by the community to the north of us, dealing with NDOT. The proceeding tonight is to focus on the subdivision of land. So that is our parameters. If you have meetings scheduled with those various departments, that sounds like that is the next step forward. The note on the property about the requirement of an easement, I can make sure that our staff looks at that and communicates better with you on where that's located. With that, and there's no other comments or questions, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, conditional upon TAC approval.
Okay, I will second that motion. Okay, can I have a vote, please?
Ms. Stoller?
Aye.
Mr. Hillary?
Aye. Seeing no old business, new business, is there any staff communication? Seeing none, I will make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.